Hi, sixth graders. Mrs. Amr here. I just want to start by saying I miss you all very much, and I'm hoping that soon we can get back to school and back to classes pretty soon. So hope everybody stay safe till then. So if you remember before break, we were working on translating sentences and key vocab words into math symbols and operations. So what I thought we would do this week is kind of just backtrack through the learning that we had done with Module 4 so far, because if we still had school, probably would have had our mid-module test that week, that first week that we ended up being off. So you've obviously opened Nearpod at this point. So that's going to be the way I push out the learning and the lesson and then the activities for you to complete. The activities will count towards homework, and then there'll be other things along the way to check in with understanding for grades. Um, so what you can do, you'll notice on the slide before this one, I have a copy of the notes that I'm going to use and go through today. So you have the option, if you have a printer, feel free to print out those notes and you can fill them in along with me. You can pause the video at any point to try a question before I go over it. You can try it on your own and then unpause the video and check out your work. If you don't have a printer, not a big deal. You can just use a scrap piece of paper, take some notes, try some questions. Again, pause the video. I encourage everybody to pause the video at different points and try questions before you just copy down my answer there. So the first on the lesson today is to read and write expressions in which letters stand for numbers. So there's unknown values and we use a variable to represent that unknown value. So the opening exercise says check out the graphic organizer with mathematical words that indicate each operation. Notice some words may indicate more than one operation. So sometimes you have to look at the context to know which operation it is. So we have addition. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You will notice that I also added exponents in. I know on our translating sheet, hopefully that you have home with you, hope that we talked about equal signs, but exponents kind of have their own specific little piece there. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division each have one vocab word that talks about the answer to that operation. So for addition, we would say the sum is the answer after I add. So we put parentheses around that addition to do it first. Subtraction would have difference, the answer after I subtract. The answer after I multiply is product, and the answer after I divide is quotient. So if I go back to addition, sum, add, more than, total, altogether, in all, increased by, and plus. You also have for subtraction, difference, subtract, fewer than, I'm going to star, minus, less than, I'm going to star, how many more, left, and decreased by. So again, I start a couple of those. Anyone know why I start a couple of those? Yeah, that's right. Those are subtraction switcheroos, and there's two more switcheroos. There is, and remember them? One of them would be the word from. Good job if you remember that one. And now that I gave you that hint, and anyone remember the other one? That's right, subtracted from. Okay, so those are four subtraction switcheroos. So anytime we're subtracting, we need to check and double check if we have a switcheroo or not. Switch the order of the subtraction or not. Multiplication, we have the product there. Multiply times every doubled or tripled of and as much. Division would be quotient divided by each, per, and split. And then exponents, powered, like an exponent is raised to the power of. Squared is specifically an exponent of 2. And cubed is specifically an exponent of 3. So then this next section, I think I skipped a slide. The next exercises say circle all the operations that would be used to translate the given expression, then translate. So we're going to circle which operations are indicated. So I'm also going to underline key vocab, circle what operations it is, and then I'm going to actually translate it. So 10 from the product of 6 and a number, which they want me to use each. So from means subtraction. So the question is from one of those switcheroos? So the list of switcheroos include from, subtracted from, less than, and fewer than. So I'm going to switch the order. 10 switches to after the subtraction. So all this stuff will switch to the front. So the product is the answer when I multiply. So 6 times h minus 10. And again, I'm going to encourage you to pause the video, try out number 2, and then unpause it to check in with me. So hopefully at this point you paused and tried it. I have the quotient, which would be division, of 5 times a number and 6. So quotient means to divide, and I know for 6th grade division is shown with the fraction bar. So instead of using the line, because I don't have enough space, I'm going to go over here. So the quotient of what two things? Well, 5 times a number. So 5 times, we'll say n for my number, and 6. So take 5n and divide it by 6. I could also accept 5 times n divided by 6, but this is definitely the 6th grade preferred way to show that. All right, so again, try 3 and 4 on your own, then come back and check in with me. 3 has 5 times the sum of 2 and a number, which we're going to use d, then subtract 8. So times obviously is multiplication. I need to multiply the sum, the answer to addition. So 5 times the answer to my addition. What are we adding? 2 and a number, which they want me to use d. Then take this and subtract 8. And number 4, product is the answer to multiplication. So a times b times c, using a little invisible math there. And if we turn the page, now we're going to fill in this table. So write an expression in words or with math symbols to complete the table. So on the left-hand side, we have the symbols and math, and the right-hand side, we have the words. So the first set says B subtracted from A. So subtracted from means to subtract. Question is it a switcheroo? So I have from, subtracted from, less than, and fewer than are switcheroos. So this guy is a switch. So from A, take away B. B subtracted from A. All right, next one, we have some invisible math going on. We have x times y. I might go with the answer to multiplication. So I'm going to say the product of x and y. Now the third one here, I have some invisible math going on again. 4 times f plus u. So I don't want to use the word the product again, just to get some more vocab going on. So how about this time we say 4 times f, and then addition. We can say plus, added to, how about we go with increased by? 4 times f increased by u. And as we're doing this video, I just want to give a little disclaimer. At the Almer house, we have some chickens, which includes hens and roosters. So you may hear in the background from time to time a rooster crowing. Nope, you're not hearing things. There really is a rooster crowing in the background. You might also hear some kitty cats or some children. I have my 2 boys at home too. We're kind of balancing my schoolwork and their schoolwork all at once. So, all right, the fourth one here, D decreased by B cubed. So decreased by I know is subtraction. The question is it a switcheroo? So the switcheroos would be from, subtracted from, less than, and fewer than. So I'm not going to switch the order. So D stays first. Decreased by not just b, but b cubed. So that's one of those exponents. Cubed is the exponent specifically of 3. So not times 3, but b to the 3rd power. All right, next two are a little bit more involved. This time I have x plus y minus 4, and all of that is divided by 2. So let me say, maybe we could say combine x and y. Then we'll subtract 4. We don't want to switch the order. And then divide the results. So basically do all that stuff in the numerator first, take that answer and divide the results by 2. So that one actually reminds me of, we had a bunch of questions where it was like 2 people had some money and then they spent like $4 on supplies and then they equally shared the rest of the money equally among each other. All right, very last one. 7 less than triple the quotient of m and n. Wow, a lot going on. Less than means to subtract, and the question is it a switcheroo? So from, subtracted from, less than, and fewer than are all those switcheroos. So I think from we talked about as the most popular switcheroo. I think less than is probably the number 2 in the list. So 7's going to switch to the back because that's a switcheroo, and then all of this is going to switch to the front. So triple specifically means 3 times. In this case, 3 times the quotient is the answer to the division. So 3 triple times the answer to my division. M was first, so it's my numerator, and n is second, so it's my denominator. So 7 less than triple the quotient of m and n. All right, the last set here is just kind of taking the learning and extending it to some what they call real-world scenarios. So extend the learning. Mark the text by underlining keywords and then write an expression using variables and numbers for each of the statements given. So we're going to pick out the key vocab and then we're going to write an expression. We're going to translate it. So Justin can type W words per minute. So this is what Justin can do. So if I'm writing expressions, Justin is W. Melvin can type 4 times as many words as Justin. So write an expression that represents the rate at which Melvin can type. All right, well, Melvin can do more because he does 4 times as much as Justin. So basically, if Justin does 10, Melvin can do 40, right? 4 times 10 would be 40. If Justin can do 100, well, Melvin can do 40 because 400. 4 times 100 would be 400. So Melvin is really 4 times Justin's rate. So this would be the expression to represent Melvin. So number 2, Joanna swam Y yards yesterday. So I have Joanna. She's represented by Y. Then we have Shylin. Shylin swam, oh, that should say swam, 5 yards less than half the amount of yards as Joanna. Write an expression that represents the number of yards Shylin swam. So less than is subtraction, and let's see, from, subtracted from, less than, and fewer than are the switcheroos. So I'm going to switch 5 to the back, and half the amount of yards as Joanna will switch to the front. So this is Joanna. I want 1/2 of that. Now some of you are probably saying, well, wait a minute, I thought half was divided by 2. So you could write it this way, or the other acceptable way, still have to switch around the 5. You can take Joanna's and divide by 2. Either of them would work. They both mean the same thing. All right, so again, I encourage you to pause the video, try these next 2 out, and then unpause to check in with your work. Number 3, a number D decreased by 5, then doubled. Decreased by and doubled. So D decreased by 5, not a switcheroo, then double that number. So the parentheses mean do the subtraction first, and then I can multiply by 2. Number 4, Nathan and Sammy combined their baseball cards, sold 10 of them, and then shared the remainder equally. All right, so I can say here's Nathan's cards, add in Sammy's cards. They took away 10, they sold 10. Take all that's left after that answer and divide it equally among the 2 people. All right, so that's it for our lesson for today. Hopefully you found it helpful. And as you keep going through the Nearpod and complete the activities, those are going to count as homework assignments that they get completed, because Nearpod will send me a link of what you completed, what your screen says, and how much time you spent on each slide. All right, see you next time.